Hey guys, I'm George, the nice magic gentleman, and it's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content. Today's video is going to be about two very impressive releases. One of them comes from the brand of Gulf Orchid, and the other one comes from the brand of French Avenue. As I said in the beginning of the video, both fragrances are quite impressive, at least turn out to be quite impressive in my personal opinion, and both of them are cloning very famous niche fragrances. Now, the one from Gulf Orchid is called Yacht Club, and this one is a clone of Xerjoff's 40 Nuts, a fragrance that I can't say I love, but I definitely like. And to be honest, I had not tried a clone of 40 Nuts yet. And the one from French Avenue is called Opus Magnum, and this one is a clone of Amouage rolled tobacco. And firstly, I'm going to talk about the one from Gulf Orchid, which is called Yacht Club. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail about the whole presentation, but basically you get a white box that's covered by a blue sleeve. You remove it like this. The important things here: concentration is EDP and the bottle size is 100 milliliters. And you open up the box like this, and inside here is where the actual fragrance sits. Now there's some sort of a message left from the guys from Gulf Orchid on the inside. I'm not going to read it. The bottle design is kind of interesting. Whether you like it or not, here the cap is very plastic. It's quite cheap and feels very light, but at the same time it's snug. It has enough of a snug fit to actually, hold the whole bottle. The bottle itself is more on the lighter side, and again, sometimes I actually kind of appreciate things like this. But enough about this. Let's go over the actual scent profile. I'm going to show you the sprayer in action. Sprayer is good, not the best one in the world, but still has decent distribution. As I said, this fragrance is a clone of 40 Nuts from Xerjoff, and the original fragrance is quite an interesting affair. It's a lot of people call it some sort of like a marine or an aquatic note, and I've said this before, but I've never found 40 Nuts to actually smell anything aquatic. For me, 40 Nuts is an woody fragrance, a woodsy fragrance that has a bit of greenness, that has quite a bit of ambery sweetness and a bit of spiciness, and it's a very versatile and fragrance that just works all year round. Very masculine scent that again has a very good quality coming from Xerjoff and also has a very good performance. And I was really interested to try a Middle Eastern clone of 40 Nuts. And Yacht Club actually turned out to be a very decent, actually surprisingly good clone of 40 Nuts. Now it's not a one-to-one clone, especially in the opening. The opening is very similar to 40 Nuts. You get a lot of the woodiness right after you spray this fragrance. You get the ambery sweetness. With this one, though, you don't get so much of that green touch that you'll find in 40 Nuts. In here, you'll find more of a floral touch. I think officially there's a violet leaf note or a violet note, something like that. And this definitely has a bit of a floral sharpness to it in the opening. It feels a little bit synthetic. There's a bit of an alcohol blast when you first spray this one, but that means that it actually is a little bit sharper and a little bit better projecting than 40 Nuts. So the opening is very similar but not identical, but once this starts to go into its dry down, it actually gets surprisingly close to 40 Nuts. The dry down is woody with a lot of cedar and other woody notes, and with quite a bit of ambery sweetness, and you still carry a bit of that floral touch into the early dry down. And the dry down smells very similar to 40 Nuts. The quality is good apart from the first few seconds where again there's a bit of an alcohol blast, but other than that this is very similar to 40 Nuts. It feels like a slightly more floral take on the original scent. Performance-wise, for me personally, 40 Nuts has always been a very strong performing scent, easily lasting 9-10 hours, maybe even more than that. Yacht Club is not as strong, but again, at the same time, it's not bad either. I've been getting performance-wise, longevity-wise, around about 8 hours out of Yacht Club, with good projection in the first hour and a half. Projection-wise, this sort of matches 40 knots, and in fact it maybe even projects a little bit better in the first few minutes because it has a little bit sharper opening. But all around, this has a pretty good performance, about 8 hours total longevity with about hour and a half, maybe up to 2 hours of good projection. Price-wise, I personally paid around about 35 euros to get it. I think somewhere around that mark, so around about $40. And keeping in mind that this is a 100 milliliter bottle size, and the cheapest that I've seen 40 nuts go for is about 100 and something euros, $150 for a 50 milliliter bottle size. This definitely is a pretty good deal in my opinion, especially considering the fact that this has good performance, and especially on the dry down will get you quite close scent wise to the original fragrance. And versatility wise, this is an all year round fragrance, definitely a masculine scent that's very versatile. And now let's talk about the other fragrance from French Avenue, which is called Opus Magnum. As I said, this one is a clone of Royal Tobacco from Amouage. Now I'm going to quickly go over the presentation because again I think French Avenue Fragrance World have gone overboard a little bit. First of all, you get this very big and heavy sort of a dark gray colored box. The concentration here is extrait de parfum supposedly, and the bottle size is 100 milliliters. Once you open up the actual box, you're introduced to this, I don't know how to call it, maybe a stand or something like that. This is where the actual bottle sits, and you can use this to showcase the bottle. The bottle looks really nice. You get these fake crystals along the presentation and the actual bottle. And the way to take out this fragrance is you have to push it down and release. There's sort of like a spring, something like a spring on the inside here, where it releases the actual bottle. The presentation again looks very lavish, and again I have to ask the question, do we really need this kind of presentations? The bottle comes in this again sort of a grayish color. It has a matte, sort of a matte finish on it, so it's not a fingerprint magnet, something that I really appreciate a lot. The cap is plastic, but it's a snug fit. And the actual sprayer is also pretty good, has good distribution. And the scent itself, it's an interesting fragrance. Now, keep in mind the original one is a very, very high quality scent that's very challenging, definitely not up to everybody's liking. It's not a mass-pleasing scent, it's something more for personal enjoyment than something that you wear to impress people. And Opus Magnum actually smells a lot like Royal Tobacco, with a few minor exceptions, especially in the opening. First of all, this feels a little bit fresher, a little bit lighter in the air. The original one is a real beast, and it's a very, very heavy scent, and the opening, there's pretty much nothing fresh in the opening. French Avenue have done a bit of a twist, and they've added a bit of freshness in the opening. Still though, keep in mind that this is a very dark scent on its own, but compared to the original, this is lighter. It opens up with a hint of aromaticness. There's a lavender note, there's something, maybe a hint of something citrus in the opening, but this also is very woody, very, very resinous right from the opening, very balsamic. It almost smells like a burnt wood in the first few seconds, first few minutes even, not first few seconds. So even on its own, even being a lighter take on Royal Tobacco, this is still a very, very heavy and a very dark scent. It just feels lighter and fresher than the original fragrance. When it goes into the dry down, you'll get more of that tobacco note that the original is known for, although again here this is not a sweet tobacco scent, this is more on the darker, on the heavier side. You're introduced to some sweetness. Maybe the original one feels a little bit sweeter, this one maybe not as sweet and not as dark, but still again this is a very, very dark fragrance. The dry down still is resinous, it's very woody, it's very dark, it has a strong tobacco note and some ambery sweetness. Maybe some musks as well. This is a very interesting, very unique scent, the original one and Opus Magnum as well. And again, this is not something safe for blind buying. Definitely try to sample this one before you pull the trigger, because this is not very cheap as well. and it's a challenging scent that is not a crowd pleaser, is not up to everybody's liking. It's definitely more of a fragrance for more seasoned frag heads, let's say that. Definitely this one should be sampled before you buy it. But if you like this dark, heavy, resinous, balsamic scents, with a lot of woods, with not much sweetness, then you'll probably enjoy Opus Magnum from French Avenue. I personally find it interesting. Definitely this is not a love for me, but I can wear this one because I like to wear something challenging and interesting from time to time. It's a good take. The opening is a little bit different, slightly fresher than the original fragrance. The dry down still remains lighter and fresher, but on the dry down this gets pretty close to the original fragrance. Performance wise, it's a good performer, not as beastly as the original. The original one is very strong. This one I've been getting about 8.5 hours out of it. Maybe with some maceration performance will improve, but it's not a beast, but it's a strong performing scent. It also tends to project quite nicely in the first hour and a half, maybe up to about 2 hours. Price wise, it's a little bit more expensive. I personally paid, I think, around about 65 euros, slightly less, so that's like $75 in the US. So it's one of the more expensive fragrances from French Avenue, but supposedly this comes in an extrait de parfum concentration. It replicates an original scent that's very expensive, and also from what I've heard, supposedly French Avenue have used really high quality ingredients to create Opus Magnum. So compared to the original one, this seems to be a good deal still. And versatility wise, this is a very masculine scent that's definitely only suitable for cold weather. So guys, in today's video I talked about two very impressive cologne fragrances, Yacht Club from Gulf Orchid and Opus Magnum from French Avenue. I hope that you found this video interesting to watch or helpful. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.